My name is Emily. Thank you for joining us for another EdZOOcation video. Today we're going to be talking about animal groups. So we're going to be looking at the special characteristics that you can look at an animal and determine which group they classify to. So if we take ourselves to begin with, we can look at what's covering our bodies. So we have our nice skin, and on top of our skin we have hair, and that means that we belong to the group mammal. Mammals are animals that for the most part have fur covering their bodies. Mammals are, for the most part, born live. There are a few species of mammals that aren't born live, but you guys can look that up later. Animals that have fur on their bodies, of course, come in different shapes, sizes, colors. Mammals are adapted, like all animals, to survive the best way in their environment. So just because an animal has fur doesn't mean that all fur is the same or that all mammals are the same. We are mammals, but my hair is much different than the hair or fur of this otter pelt. And even if we look deeper into these two pelts I have here on the table, the otter's fur is much shorter, it's much denser. And the fox fur right here, you can see that it's a lot fluffier and thicker and finer. And that's if you think about these two animals and where they live and how they live, what advantages their unique fur has for them. Otter fur is short, fine, dense because they spend so much time in the water. Their fur actually has a special oil that covers it that helps repel water so that the otter can spend its time swimming and getting what it needs to survive without getting too cold or getting really soaked through to their skin, because that would not be good for the otter. Now fox, they need to have that thick fluffy fur as also for protection from other animals, but also to keep them warm. Another special thing about mammals is that we are warm-blooded. Now when I talk about warm-blooded versus cold-blooded, I'm not specifically talking about whether the blood is warm or cold. I'm actually talking about how the animal regulates its body temperature. So when I say warm-blooded, I'm actually talking about endothermic. Endo means inside and thermic means temperature. So warm-blooded and endothermic are what we're talking about. Now, endothermic animals will regulate their body temperatures based off of what's going on internally in their body, their digestive system, their metabolism, things like that. So if I was going to go outside today and it's 65 degrees outside right now, my body temperature would work to stay 98.6 degrees. That's my internal temperature I need to stay at to be healthy. So a warm-blooded animal, it doesn't matter what's going on the outside, it's what's inside. Now, cold-blooded animals, which we'll talk about here more in a little bit, are ectothermic animals. Ecto means outside, thermic means temperature, so outside temperature. So an animal that's ectothermic goes outside at 65 degrees, its body temperature is going to start to change depending on what the outside temperature is. So that's why you see a lot of ectothermic animals soaking out on rocks, trying to absorb that sunshine, or maybe hiding in a shadowy place to cool down. So our next group of animals is actually endothermic, just like mammals. They are birds. So we know when we look at birds that their body is covered in feathers. Big, small, doesn't matter. Birds have feathers. Now, not all feathers are made the same, and that has to do with how that bird is adapted to survive. So if you think about an ostrich, here is an ostrich feather. This feather looks completely different than the feather from, let's say, a hawk. So you have the ostrich feather and your hawk feather. Now, ostriches, they can't fly. So their feathers are made more to keep their bodies warm, keep their skin safe and protected, things like that. Now a hawk, their feather needs to be designed so they can take flight. So their feathers look a lot different. Birds are so diverse. They come in so many different types and sizes and colors. And here at the zoo, we have a lot of different types of birds. But they all have feathers and they're all unique. Birds are warm-blooded, just like mammals. But birds do something different that mammals don't do. For the most part, mammals are born live. Birds, however, hatch from eggs. So if the animal has fur, is born live, and is endothermic, it's a mammal. If the animal is covered in feathers, is endothermic, and lays an egg, it's a bird. Lots of animals, they do things completely different than we do as mammals. So the next group I want to talk with you about is actually a group called the mollusks. And now mollusks are really cool. These are going to be soft-bodied animals, most of the time living in water or near water, and occasionally they might have a shell. So we're talking things like octopus, snails, things like that, clams, these soft, squishy animals that are invertebrates. When I'm talking about invertebrates, I'm talking about animals that lack a back. So our mammals and birds are vertebrates. So if you feel on the back of your neck, going all the way down your back, those bones, those are called vertebrae. So you are a vertebrate. Animals that don't have that backbone, don't have those vertebrae to support them, they are invertebrates. So mollusks are invertebrates. They have soft bodies and they live near or around water. Another group that does things a lot differently than we do are arthropods. Now arthropods are those segmented animals that you think of that have exoskeletons, hard outer bodies. So we're talking things like insects, like this beetle here. This is a Goliath beetle, and their body is segmented. The outer part is an exoskeleton, and they lay eggs. Another type of arthropod is your arachnid, so spiders, scorpions, things like that. Segmented body, not an insect, but an arthropod. They still have that hard outer exoskeleton that protects their body on the inside. So it's kind of like if you took your bones out of your body and stretched them out over your skin, and then all your skin was squishy on the inside, but your bones supported you and kept you safe on the outside. Now, another group of animals that I want to talk with you about are also squishy and like to live near water, but they're a lot different because they are vertebrates. They have backbones. And this group are amphibians. Amphibians are one of the coolest groups because they are composed of your animals like your salamanders and your frogs and toads. Amphibians have special, moist, permeable skin. So that means that water can flow in and out of their skin very easily. That's why they need to make sure that they have water near or around them. That, and because they also lay eggs in water. They have to have water in their life cycle in order to survive. So that's a really important reason why we want to make sure that we keep our water clean and safe when we're outside. So don't litter, make sure we keep our waterways clean so our amphibian friends that have that special skin that's moist to be able to live happy lives. Now, I have a few animals here with me that I'd like to share with you. The first one we're going to take a look at, and we'll decide, we'll work together. What group does she belong to? So she's more than likely taking a nap. She is a nocturnal animal. I'm going to pick her up here and put her on the table so she's nice and secure. Yep, she's sleeping. I can almost hear her snoring. She does that sometimes. Now, all right, this little lady is named Fiona. Oh, she's not under. She's dug all the way under her blankie. All right. Hi, Miss Fee. I know. And she's showing me right now what she's excellent at. So we'll take a closer look at her. We'll bring her up close and check out Miss Fiona. You can see that covering Fiona's body because she is a hedgehog, she has spines. And these spines are made up of the same type of protein that makes hair, keratin, but it hardens as it develops. So on her underside, she actually has a nice soft fluffy belly with nice soft fur, but on her outside, she has those spines. Now that helps her protect her from predators, because a lot of predators would love to make a nice smaller animal, prey animal like this, a snack. But thankfully Fiona here, she has her nice spines to help protect her. Now she has a really good sense of smell too, because she likes to eat bugs. So when Fiona was born, she was born live. Now these nice spines hadn't developed completely, so thankfully for Mama, she came out nice and soft and underdeveloped here on her spines. But she is endothermic, so that means she's warm-blooded, and she is really active right now, which is great. She's using her nose. She's going, "Do you have any worms for me? I thought we were going to get worms today." Now, this little lady, because she has fur, because she was born live, and she did drink milk from Mom when she was born, we know that she is a mammal. All right, we'll go ahead and put Miss Fiona away. Now, another group of animal that is very special are fish. Now, fish are cold-blooded. They, of course, need to be in water to survive. They have gills to get oxygen into their body, and their body is covered in scales. Fish, again, come in all different shapes and sizes, but those characteristics help us to know that an animal is a fish. Scales, cold-blooded. They also have vertebrae, so they're vertebrates. Now, our next group, saving the best for last, of course, are reptiles. Now, what makes a reptile a reptile? Reptiles are vertebrates too, so they have that vertebrate just like we do down their back. They have scales covering their body. So if an animal has scales, like a turtle or a snake or a lizard, they are a reptile. And what's cool about reptiles is they also lay eggs, but their eggs are a lot different than a bird's eggs or a arthropod's eggs. Their eggs are kind of squishy and leathery, and they're very unique. So I do have a friend here with me who is a reptile. Let me get her out. Her name is Rupert, and Miss Rupert is a leopard gecko. Now, leopard gecko's scales look a lot different than the turtle scale or a snake's scales, because their scales are adapted for what they need. If you think about a turtle, its scales are covering its shell and its legs, and they can dive in and out of water, and their scales need to be a little bit slicker, smooth, to help repel that water, keep their skin safe. A snake, they're going to be slithering on the ground or up in trees, and they're going to be needing that protection all over their body. So usually snake scales are a little bit rougher, they're a little bit more intricate, but if we look at our friend Rupert here, her scales look a lot different than a snake's or a turtle's. So, and even other lizards, her scales look different, because leopard geckos actually live in a pretty warm climate. They're from the Middle Eastern region of our planet, and they are nocturnal as well. So they spend most of their time in the cooler parts of the day. So scales can help a reptile to retain body moisture, and because she's most active when the sun's down, she doesn't need to worry too much about losing that body moisture. She's more worried about being able to move and move quickly. So large, big scales that are heavy and really tough aren't going to help her do that. So they're going to actually slow her down and make her even easier target for predators. So these softer, round scales that are specialized just for her help her to be able to move fast. But she still sheds her scales, her skin, and reptiles will continuously shed throughout their lives, and that helps them to get rid of parasites or any kind of damaged parts of their body as they grow. So we shed our skin too, we just do it kind of continuously, whereas a reptile will do it kind of in bits and pieces like this lizard, or if they're a snake, they're going to do it all at once. So Miss Rupert here is ectothermic, so if she were to go outside right now, it would be probably too cold. It's, I think, only in the 50s here today, so we wouldn't take her out. She would get too cold. When we travel with her, we make sure she has a nice heating pad. Her habitat is always nice for her because it has a hot spot and a cooling spot, so she can regulate her body temperature depending on where she's choosing to be in her habitat. All right, Ms. Rupert, I'm going to go ahead and put her away. All right, so just to review, you can classify animals based on what is covering their bodies. So if an animal has fur, it is a mammal. If an animal has feathers, it's a bird. If it has scales and is underwater, we know it's a fish. If it has scales and is above on land, it's a reptile. Arthropods are our segmented animals that have that harder exoskeleton. Mollusks are the soft-bodied animals like the octopus and clams that we talked about. And amphibians are those wet, squishy guys that need to be near water because their skin actually moves water in and out of it. So, I hope this has given you a good introduction into grouping animals by their special characteristics that they're adapted to help them survive. If you have any questions, shoot us an email to zoo.education@gardencitykS.us. Now, before we go, don't forget to check for your activity, your EdZOOcation activity. This time, it's an easy peasy, fun coloring sheet where you can color your different types of animals and then cut them out and sort them by which group they belong to. All right. So thank you again for joining us for the Lee Richardson Zoo Education Day. Bye.